Today, we're plunging into a global race for something often called infinite energy.
Right.
Now, just to be clear for everyone listening, we're not talking about impossible perpetual motion machines.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Instead, in this deep dive, we're defining infinite energy as sources that are, well, truly inexhaustible on human timescales. Or they're renewed much, much faster than we use them. Think long-term energy abundance.
Exactly. Sustainable on a scale we can barely comprehend.
So we'll explore the really cutting-edge technologies at the forefront here. This whole push is fueled by, rising energy demands, the urgent need to decarbonize, and frankly, the strategic importance of securing reliable power for centuries.
It's a huge geopolitical factor now.
Absolutely. Get ready for some surprising facts and maybe a few aha moments along the way. Let's start with maybe the biggest dream, nuclear fusion.
Ah, yes, fusion, the ultimate clean energy source, potentially. What's so fascinating is that it's basically replicating the process inside our sun.
Harnessing a star, essentially.
Pretty much. And the payoff, virtually unlimited power, completely clean, no greenhouse gases, very little long-lived radioactive waste compared to fission, and inherently safe. No risk of meltdown like traditional nuclear plants.
Okay, so how are we trying to achieve this? I know there are a couple of main approaches.
That's right. Broadly, two main paths. First, magnetic confinement. Think tokamaks, those big donut-shaped reactors you often see pictures of, and stellarators, which are similar but have a more complex, twisted shape.
Like a twisted donut.
Exactly. The second approach is inertial confinement. This uses incredibly powerful lasers to zap a tiny fuel pellet. The U.S. National Ignition Facility, NIF, recently had a breakthrough here, achieving what they call burning plasma.
And burning plasma, that means the reaction started generating more heat than it was losing.
Precisely. A crucial step towards getting more energy out than you put in, which is the ultimate goal ignition.
Now, the big international project is ITER. Right?
Yeah.
Huge collaboration.
It is. The world's largest scientific collaboration, aiming for a power gain of 10 times the energy out versus in. But it's faced real challenges. Major cost increases, something like $10.4 billion over budget, and delays. Full operation is now pushed back to maybe 2039.
Wow, 2039. That's still quite a ways off.
It is.
But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. We're seeing this parallel rise of, agile private companies jumping into fusion.
Yes, that's been a huge shift. You've got Commonwealth Fusion Systems, CFS, they've got backing from Google. They're assembling their SPARC demonstrator right now.
And Helion Energy. They're quite bold with their claims.
Extremely bold. They sort of joke that commercialization is permanently 6 years away. But it highlights the ambition, this dual-track approach, massive public projects like ITER and nimble private ventures. It's really speeding things up, injecting a different kind of innovation.
It feels like this acceleration isn't just in fusion. We're seeing similar moves in advanced nuclear fission too, right?
Yeah.
Evolving the nuclear power we already have.
Absolutely. We're talking Generation 4V reactors. The big focus there is on enhanced safety, often using passive system.
Passive systems meaning they can basically shut down safely on their own without power or human action.
That's the idea, making meltdowns physically impossible in many designs. They also emphasize modularity, building smaller reactors in factories for faster deployment and better fuel cycles to reduce waste.
Which brings us to SMR's small modular reactors. The promise is lower upfront costs because of that factory fabrication.
Yeah.
But is that realistic, given the history of nuclear cost overruns?
That is the million-dollar, or rather billion-dollar question. It's a real challenge. On one hand, you have Canada building the first SMR in a G7 nation, targeting 2029. China is planning 150 new reactors by 2035, many potentially advanced designs. The U.S. is even talking about using advanced nuclear to power AI data centers.
Huge demand there.
Huge. But then you have the NuScale project cancellation here in the U.S. Costs just escalated too much and utilities pulled back. It was a stark reminder of the economic hurdles.
So the tech might be safer, might be better, but the financing is still tough.
Exactly. And maybe the biggest barrier, when you really look at it, is still public perception. Dealing with the legacy of past accidents, the whole waste issue, even if the new designs are fundamentally different.
Okay, let's shift gears away from nuclear for a bit. What about tapping into the Earth itself? Enhanced geothermal systems, EGS.
Right, EGS. This is different from traditional geothermal, which needs specific locations with natural hot water or steam near the surface. EGS involves drilling much deeper, like miles down into hot, dry rock.
And then you make your own reservoir.
Essentially, yes. You fracture the rock slightly and circulate water through it to pick up the heat. The big advantage is you could potentially deploy it almost anywhere, not just in volcanically active zones.
And why should you, our listener, care about EGS? Well, estimates suggest it could supply up to 20% of U.S. electricity by 2050. And its baseload power predictable runs 247.
Plus, there's a fascinating link to the existing energy sector. Up to 80% of the investment and skills needed for EGS are transferable from oil and gas. Drilling, reservoir management.
That's a huge potential transition pathway for that workforce.
It really is. Now, the challenges are there. High upfront drilling costs, maybe $10, $20 million per, and permitting can take years, sometimes up to a decade.
Oof, a decade.
Yeah, but there's policy support aiming to slash those costs by 90% by 2035. So there's momentum.
Okay, next up, something truly out there. Space-based solar power. SBSP.
Yeah, this one sounds like science fiction, but people are taking it very seriously. The idea is simple. Put huge solar panels in orbit where the sun always shines.
No night, no clouds.
Exactly. Collect that energy, convert it into microwaves or lasers, and beam it down to receivers on Earth continuously, potentially generating up to 8 times more power per unit area than ground-based solar.
And countries are actually racing on this.
Oh, yes. China have very ambitious plans, aiming for a 200-ton station by 2035. And just last year, Caltech's demonstrator project, SSPD-1, successfully beamed detectable power back to Earth for the first time. A tiny amount, but proof of concept.
Wow. But the challenges must be, well, astronomical.
They are immense. The launch costs, for one, are still incredibly high, though coming down. You'd need enormous receiving stations on the ground, potentially kilometers wide for microwaves. And then there's the huge issue of space debris. Adding massive structures to orbit really increases collision risk. It's a classic tragedy of the commons problem in space.
Right, polluting orbit could ruin it for everyone. Okay, finally, let's look at the oceans. Advanced ocean energy.
Yeah, harnessing the power of tides and waves. We've got tidal barrages, basically dams across estuaries like the Siwa Lake facility in South Korea, which is quite large.
And tidal stream systems.
Those are more like underwater wind turbines, placed in areas with strong currents. Megan in Scotland is a key example. The great thing about tidal is it's incredibly predictable based on orbital mechanics. Wave energy converters are also being developed, though they're generally a bit earlier stage.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But putting complex machinery in the ocean sounds difficult.
It is. You're dealing with storms, saltwater corrosion, things growing on your equipment biofouling. It's a harsh environment.
Okay.
And the capital costs are high, often $5 to $10 million per megawatt installed.
So similar cost issues to other advanced tech.
Yes, and beyond the tech and cost, there's a governance challenge. We need really comprehensive marine spatial planning. Figuring out where to put these things without interfering with shipping, fishing, marine ecosystems, and clear international rules are needed too.
So bringing this all together, this whole infinite energy race, it seems like a mix of fierce competition between nations for leadership and independence,
Definitely.
but also almost by a necessity collaboration, because these projects are just so huge and expensive, a kind of co-opetition.
That's a good way to put it. And all these sectors are poised for really significant growth. SMRs are projected to be a market worth over $7 billion by 2030. Some advanced reactors, like molten salt reactors, are seeing projected growth rates of like 18% per year. It's fundamentally reshaping the energy landscape.
So this quest for infinite energy, it's clearly more than just science experiments or business plans. It's becoming a core strategic issue, set to redefine energy security and global power dynamics.
No question about it.
Which leads to a final thought for you to consider. What actually happens to our world if or when energy stops being a scarce resource and becomes practically limitless? How does that change?
Well, everything. Geopolitics, economies, just daily life as we know it. Something to think about.